Good morning, everyone, and welcome to successcafe.tv. My name's Paul Bursey, and I have with me...
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon to some of you and good evening to the others. Warren Connolly here, coming to you from Hungary.
We're not going to waste any time this morning. We're going to get straight into the subject, and today's subject is belief always precedes results. What do you think about that, Warren?
Does it?
Yeah, most of the time.
Oh, yeah, there's so many historical examples you can just look at it. Everything, for example, belief has preceded a result. So yeah,
now a change in mindset.
Now it's just about explaining what that looks like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes we make a decision. We don't think about the word belief.
Sure.
For you to be in a position to go on and become I'll take it to the nth degree. Let's say Usain Bolt, he set his mind on winning the Olympic title in 4 years' time, and he's very positive. His mindset's great, and that. But somewhere deep inside his mind, he's going to have the belief that he can do it. In fact, you can take it, as you've heard me say before, you can take it further than that and say it's done.
Yeah.
Right. Not for everyone, but
I mean, in his case, most certainly.
Yeah, most certainly. But
so I feel sorry for Usain Bolt. He's kind of like the Albert Einstein of sports. You know, Albert Einstein, because you're so intelligent, so many things quotes have been quoted to him. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas most of those are false, and the same thing with Usain Bolt. You know, everybody uses him as an example or an analogy, using him in the sporting field or motivational field and things like that. But it's true, though. You know, a person like that, he just doesn't have to think about whether he has the belief or not.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, for the mere mortals like us, I think, generally speaking, belief comes and goes. Now, depending on who you are as to the percentage of how much it stays or how big it is, you know, but you've got the lower end of the scale where some people don't believe in anything, you know, yeah. And you've got
I met somebody like that the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll know by their speech, you'll know how they talk, the way they hold themselves, you know, and things like that. So you'll know if someone has, and belief goes hand in hand with confidence, obviously. Okay. So you'll know if someone's confident. You'll know from what they say, whether they believe what they say and whether they're likely enough to achieve what they want to achieve. So, yeah. So have you had periods of time when you've not necessarily had the belief in yourself?
Sure. Oh, definitely.
I knew you were going to say yes.
Yeah. I'm not embarrassed to admit it, of course. Yeah. It's hey, I mean, when I was a kid, I had so little belief in myself, you know. And then when I decided to confront that fear, many things started to change in my life. And that was, for me, the basis of it, is really confronting the fear of lack of belief, you know, the fear of actually being able to believe in myself. Because sometimes people, I think, they fear the possibility of belief. You understand what I mean? Like if I believe in myself strongly enough, they fear what the outcome potentially could be from that, I think.
Yeah, so I didn't have any fear as a kid. It's really weird. Well, not fear. I mean, I got on stage when I was 11 to do a school football report to the assembly, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you know, needed a change of underpants, but I actually knew that I had to do it. I had to do it because it's, for some reason, you don't know why. Whether you think you can have a career on the stage, I don't know, things like that. But you know, I knew I had to do it, and it was always nervous for me, but I knew I had to do it, and I did it. But when it came to sport, I didn't give it a second thought. With sport, I was you know, it's really weird, but I was ultimately good at the two things I loved, which was running and football. But I wasn't good enough. So that's why I had to go away for 2 years and practice to be able to get a professional trial. What I'm saying is that I know that everyone's in a different place, and I get it. I get it because of my lack of confidence came in later life. Funny enough.
You see this in many kids at school. You look at them and you look at them athletically speaking, and they have no fear, like you say. They just know they can do it. But then when you look at them academically, some of those kids are terrified.
Yeah.
They are literally grounded with fear. Well, not grounded, perhaps grounded is not the right word, but they are engrossed in fear. Then you get those kids that are completely balanced. They can perform both academically and athletically speaking. However, what I've noticed with many of those kids is that they have this preconceived idea of ability. What is the cycle? There's a psychological term for it. You see it in some of the trainings where people believe their ability more than what they actually do possess. And so a lot of these kids, they believe
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. And when they would get out into the big wide world, they would just automatically succeed. But in many cases, they never. And then because then all of a sudden they have this massive fear that sets in. And then they lose that belief in themselves. And it's almost like an instantaneous effect in some cases. And I think that for those kind of kids, that must be terrifying. I mean, I was never gifted athletically speaking at school, nor academically. So I never had any expectations. Okay. And maybe that was a cool thing because as I got older, my ability and my belief improved significantly. As my abilities improved, my belief improved. As my belief improved, my abilities improved even more. And I think this is they twin together. Your belief and your abilities can.
It's not clear cut.
Sure.
But if you're gonna achieve anything, you've got at some stage you've got to believe in your own ability to do it.
100%.
However that manifests in your particular life, or whoever it is that it affects, But the sky is not your limit. Okay, I heard that. Not heard it, but I read it from a bloke called Sergio Tiguera, and he said the sky is not your limit. Your mind is. So how far you can expand your mind is how far you're going to go.
Sure.
And success is a thought.
Ooh.
It starts as a thought. Okay, so whatever it is you want to do in your life, whatever it may be, it could be anything. It starts as a thought, but then moves on to a desire, strong feeling, and something that you've got to do.
Yeah, and then once you have that desire, I think is another key element. Obviously, is the desire to begin with.
Yeah.
If you don't have a desire for something, then it's clear that you're lacking a belief in that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so often people don't have desire because of.
Oh, we can't hear you, Warren.
You can't hear me now.
Oh no, I think you're back. You're back.
Yeah.
Stop feeling.
Just momentarily. I had to silence the Baskerville, the hound of Baskerville down below.
No, we can still hear it though.
You can.
We can hear the dog. Yeah, don't worry. But so belief's a starting point. There's no doubt about it, and that it's the start of the race where the gun goes off, which is the most nervous time. Funny enough, from my point of view, anyway, it was when the gun went off. Yeah, no, there was no fear then, but some people don't get to the starting line though.
Many don't. Yeah,
and that's what we hope this podcast can maybe nudge someone towards getting to that starting line and getting ready to engage in something worthwhile. But the bottom line is if you don't believe in something, you're not going anywhere, or at the very least, you're going to struggle tremendously. And you don't want that.
Yeah, if you look at imagine if the Vikings never believed that the earth did not come to an end and that there was always something beyond. They would never have reached Greenland, Canada, those parts of the world, and then slowly, the rest of humanity slowly discovered the rest of the world. I mean, if the Portuguese never wanted to venture down south towards along the coastline of Africa, South Africa wouldn't have been discovered for probably hundreds of more years, in the future. But because
there's loads of them, isn't there? Vasco da Gama, there's blooming.
Vasco da Gama was the one.
Marco Polo's another one.
Vasco da Gama was the one that discovered South Africa. He was a European that discovered South Africa. So imagine if they Marco Polo was kind of born into it. So he's an exception to the rule because he was born into that world, and he just took over the mantle, so to speak. Okay.
I've got to catch up on Netflix on him.
On Netflix.
It's on Netflix, Marco Polo.
Yeah, unfortunately, it stopped too early. They stopped making it, I think.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to watch it then if it's not going to complete it.
No, I don't think it's complete. I might be wrong, but I was looking in it. I don't think it's completed. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but obviously, belief is a big part of your mindset and your psyche. So all these things are linked, and if you don't have some of that good stuff going in there, you're going to have a pretty boring life, all right? From my point of view. Sorry, I know that someone else's point of view might be different, and that's cool, But your belief has to be in place before the journey starts. You must have somebody. You may not be 100% there, but there must be something you're starting to fill up the jar of belief, when you start. And you can build it up as you go along. There's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what I did when I jumped on the stage at school. I never got there. I can't remember how many times I did it, but it was the same every time.
Okay.
It was the same nerves.
Yeah.
Result was not bad. It was okay. It was good.
Better.
But I can't say that it helped in later life. There's no way I can see it did, because there was such a gap between that and when I had to engage belief again. I can't really give the results. But
that would have prepared you for something. You may not.
Something, but you just can't identify it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. When I first jumped up on stage to speak, it definitely prepared me for what I do now. And at that stage, when I first jumped on stage to talk, I was terrified, like you said. But I was an adult at that stage. I was a young adult, but it was terrifying standing up on.
I think it was late 2008 when I actually got on stage.
Okay.
And to get an award, and as I say, I wouldn't say I went to pieces, but I didn't know what to say. Just didn't know what to say. It's, so for anyone listening here who's probably lacking a bit of confidence or not sure they've got the right belief level, you got to start somewhere.
You do.
It might be awful the first little bit. I don't know, but know this: it will get better. But it'll only get better if you keep practicing.
Yeah.
Positive results can be achieved, but in the end, it has to come from a sort of deep-seated root or belief. That there's something better around the corner. You don't know how you're going to feel, and that's it. But to actually achieve something, you have to start to believe, and you have to start building up on it.
I think unfortunately too many of us don't have this yearning for something better, So they have a belief that this is it, and they consign the rest of the future of their lives, the rest of their lives to that substandard existence. But for them, that's the pinnacle of their life in many cases.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a shame, really, because society has conditioned us in this way, and it's not recent thing. It's not something that's recent. This has been going on for hundreds of years, where we become conditioned to believe that just coming home every day and sitting in front of the telly or just vegetating, doing nothing really, sleeping early, not actually being a student of life or a lifelong student is going to be beneficial to you. Many people they don't. They just want to do their job, come home, switch off from the rest of the world, and wake up the next morning and repeat the same process. And that's their happiness. And if for some people, if they are, then good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
they found their happiness.
This isn't. This show is never about criticism of anyone.
No, but
it's about trying to spark something in people, I suppose.
I think that, hopefully, I trust, because sometimes somebody is living their life. They may listen to this and they think, hey, hang on a second. Stuff those two, stuff Paul and Warren. I'm going to go and I'm going to prove that I can
absolutely
make a change in my life. And if that's the case, go for it, son.
Yeah, absolutely. Do what you want at the end of the day, but just know this, that whatever you end up with is down to you. And you have to accept that. If you don't want very much, then that's fantastic. It's fine. I was just thinking of an example, and I was thinking of Christmas. Now, forgetting any religious meaning for Christmas for the moment, because that's not what I'm trying to aim at. It's about that feeling on a Christmas morning, and before, when there's presents under the tree for you. And do you know what? Even now, I still get excited about Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a few ups and downs with Christmas and things like that over the last few years, but generally speaking, I don't want to know what I've got. Now, sometimes people ask me what I want, and I'll give them a list or something like that, but I don't want to know.
No, I don't want to know.
I don't want to know what I've got. And do you know what? As a kid, I never cheated looking at the presents. Because I love the feeling of ripping it open and then getting a surprise.
Complete surprise. Yeah, my oldest brother, he used to go and feel it and shake it and feel this weight and all that kind of stuff. No,
I may have probably lifted them up a couple of times, but generally speaking, I didn't want to know what was in there. But it was a bit hard when 1 year or a couple of years running, my mum bought me a sheepskin coat, and she also bought me a brand new racing bike.
Oh wow, that's pretty hard.
A long time ago, and and you can't hide them. So there's no way you can't see. They've got to be hidden well away, so you don't know they're about. But generally speaking, my parents never had much money, but we always went on holiday, albeit to some place in the UK, and a lot of the places in the UK were in the 60s, and that were not very good. But we had fun.
Yeah. You didn't mind as a kid.
And at Christmas, we always had, a great Christmas.
Always. They see you talk about holidays, okay, and you mentioned Christmas. Now, there's a belief that many people today hold with everything that's going on around us, okay, with this pandemic and lockdowns and all that, and people not being able to travel as freely as they were before. Many people, they still believe that they should be able to travel every summer. In spite of everything that's going on, it's. I totally agree with that. You should be able to travel, but sometimes there are things in place that are out of our control. But rather than take stock of the situation and take it for what it is, the situation that we experience in the environment, they get depressed about the fact that they're not able to travel.
I wouldn't get depressed about it. I'd just say, look, I want to get back to traveling as soon as I can. Yes.
Yeah.
But
so there's a belief. And that's a strong belief. People will risk their health and their lives just so that they can travel.
Yeah.
And that's also that's a very strong belief that I believe it's skewed out of proportion. That's priorities are, in my opinion. My humble opinion, we have much more important things to be more concerned about than being able to travel for summer.
Yeah. But so I mean, with belief, I mean, it basically is, and you can break it down to this simple thing: I can do this.
Yeah,
and that is it. That and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's doing a university degree or whatever it is, or building a business, you can do it. But at some stage, you've got to have some positive thinking and have some belief in yourself that you can do it. Okay? And I've got a message for everyone here. Whatever it is you want to do, within reason, because maybe climbing Everest isn't for you, but everything else, that we think is worthwhile, you can do if you put your mind to it. Right?
I'll give you a very, very, very powerful example of that. And as Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're probably right. Yeah. When I was at the Rio Paralympic Games in 2016, I met an athlete there from Namibia. All right. And this guy was of the ilk that he would do anything and everything that he could do physically. All right. And he was born with a congenital disease. So his arms are crooked and bent, and he's got like a leg that looks like as if it's polio. Okay, polio-ridden leg. So he's got a bent and crooked leg. He's got both his arms are buckled and crooked with his hands like this. So watching him try to light a cigarette was an amazement in itself. Just lighting a cigarette. Okay, things that we take for granted if you're a smoker. Then one day he was at a party or a barbecue, a braai, as we say in South Africa and Namibia, and they were watching the Olympic Games, and somebody said to him, at least we know one thing's for sure, you'll never make it to the Olympic Games. 4 years later, he was at the Rio Olympics in a swimming event, and he had the belief, no matter what somebody said, somebody pushed him to the if they gave him a challenge or something like that, in his mind, he has the belief that he can achieve it, regardless of his physical limitations. And he did. He made it, he came, he swam one race, and that was it. That was his goal was achieved. Didn't matter beyond that. And I admire that kind of belief in somebody when they have so much resolution and courage to be able to complete something like that in a task like that. And the result was, he traveled. He didn't just travel to Rio for the first time. And it was the first time he traveled overseas. In the 4 years preceding that, he's been to other countries and things like that because of his desire to go to Rio. So never ever discount your own abilities.
Well, that's the power of the mind. Look, at the end of the day, there are no magic bullets at all. There are no magic tricks you can do. It's the belief that positive thinking that gives you the power. You then have to take that on and do the necessary things, whatever it is, And there's lots of science behind the power of positive mindset. Lots of it. You can read on forever. The mind for you, your mind, meaning everyone here, is a powerful tool that you can use to your benefit, and if you want to better your life in some way, just employ your mind in the right way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how do we know if we are employing our mind in the right way? How does that reflect in our lives?
Change. Yeah. You'll see things changing, and you'll go, "Oh, I like that."
Yeah, especially if you like the change. Yeah, then okay.
If it's changed for the worse, then you'll know that as well. Look, we're all pretty intelligent people, and we know when things are going well, when things are going badly. When things are improving. When things are changing. And but it's you that has to do it. You can do it with help, but it is you that has to do it.
Sometimes positive change is preceded by challenges.
Yeah. Okay.
This is kind of the dichotomy of personal growth and personal development. Often in order for us to reach a positive outcome, we need to be faced with a challenge of some kind. So sometimes you make a decision to do something, and stumbling blocks just get put in your way.
Yeah.
But if you know inside of you, within your heart, that outcome is what's right for you, doesn't matter what the challenges are, but it's about identifying within yourself, how does that feel for me? Do I feel like this is really what I have to be doing? Then when you know that feeling, and this is the thing, Paul, is that because of the state of and condition that most people live in these days, health-wise, mentally, physically, that kind of stuff, people don't understand what that sensation is in their body. They don't know how to listen to themselves, their head, their brain, their heart, their, and so forth, their gut. So they don't know when the message is right or not that's coming into their head. So they get confused as to which path to follow, which avenue to go down. But that's also, again, that's something else that you yourself need to identify with and learn what are the telltale signs. And for example, Paul and I understand this. We understand this on different levels. If you get a message that comes to you through your brain, like whether you think you're thinking a thought or whether you feel something in your heart, we know whether to identify it as being a negative impact or a positive impact upon us. But most, I think, from what I understand and from what I see around me, most people don't. They don't. It's because it's all kind of like gurgled messages that come through. It's like everything's mismatched. Their body's unhealthy, their brain is fatigued, they got brain fog 90% of the time. The thought comes into their head, they discount it. Another thought comes into their head, they discount it. Another thought comes into their head, they discount it. And all of a sudden one day, something happens to them, because they haven't taken heed of those ideas that came into their head and followed their truth, followed that idea, which then becomes a belief, okay? And then you get the result as a consequence of that.
Yeah, think of a plate and smashing a plate with a hammer. Not too hard, but just enough to break it into maybe 8 bits. Okay, people's minds are like that. Okay, and that's pretty much brain fog, really. You're splintering in different directions, and you just, for that moment, I don't want to cope. Let's go and have a cup of tea or whatever it is, And I think what determines things is focus. So that Namibian Olympian obviously said, I want to do this, and he identified something that he believed he could do and work towards, and he actually went and done it. Now I don't know what the result was, and it really doesn't matter at the end of the day because he got to the Olympics. All right, so it's the same for you. So if you sitting there one day, and we know there's thousands of thoughts go across your mind during the day, as all of us, and you said, right, I want to become, I don't know what would be, let's say it's mathematics. Because I know there's something that I didn't want to do, but it could be for someone else. They could say, well, I want to be a pass with the distinction, let's put it that way, of doing the first degree on mathematics. What's stopping you? We could, I'm not being funny now. Mm-hmm. Most of us, nearly all of us, could do that.
Yes.
What the difference is believing you can do it and then having the desire to do it. Right? So these things and confidence, these are things are all closely linked. Then obviously you just narrow focus on that one thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean say you don't eat and things like that, but you understand what I'm saying. You don't go, oh, I'm also going to do a degree on biology as well. No, most of us, we would have to focus and have this laser-like focus on that one thing.
And I guess this is also another downfall for most of us, right? Is the ability to have that laser focus because we are so distracted everywhere we turn.
Distractions are there's thousands of them. It's a classic example. Emails. I've got 8 email accounts. Don't go there. Don't ask. But
I've got 3. I only ever look at one.
Yeah, but what I did in the end, I had to go in and spend a day trimming them down to just to virtually nothing. Now I can deal with 8 easy as anything. That's what I'm saying. So that would be one thing that's distraction. The other thing is Netflix. No, anything like that. Or soaps or whatever it is, because you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve if you're going to spend all your time watching soaps.
And it's so easy just to sit and watch for.
And it is easy.
Hours. Oh man!
And I get it. Not soaps. I've done it on other things, but and it's very easy to nullify your mind and just say, I'm going to go and watch this box set for 10 hours, then do 10 episodes or whatever it is, And I get it. I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it. And I don't need to do that now. I can have little 10-minute stints now. So I've cut that right the way down. So, you know, I work for 50 minutes and I'll have a 10-minute break. You know.
This is I discovered something on YouTube, a channel called Spark.
All right.
Spark something. And they do these short sci-fi movies.
Oh, right. Okay.
Some are like 10 minutes long, some are 15, some are half an hour. And that's
Do you like sci-fi?
Yeah, I love sci-fi. And so these are like, and you know, they're not big budget stuff. Some of them are really good, but they're short sci-fi movies, you know, and it's just, if you want to escape for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, you know, I either watch a podcast, somebody like a intellectual, some podcast that really interests me, or I'll go watch something like that. Gives me that escape route without being consumed by the distraction. You know, it's important to be able to do that mentally, to switch off and disconnect. It really is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes when you do disconnect like that, you get inspiration. You find inspiration. It comes through you because you're not thinking of stuff all the time. And this is the other drawback with life is we think we have to be thinking all the time. Thinking just, again, it clouds your head. It creates more brain fog. So when you do disconnect with something, it could be gardening, could be washing the dishes, could be cleaning the house. You know, when you're not thinking about what you're doing and you're actually involved in something, that's when inspiration comes through, and then you can kind of create a belief from that. So
Yeah.
take heed of those ideas that come to your head when you are.
Oh yeah, because some are actually good.
Yeah, they really are. Write them down immediately, and then go back and revisit it.
Yeah, I think look, we all choose the habits that we want to follow or to uptake, and on a daily basis. So your habits are very, very important when it comes to achieving things. But now we're all, as I said, we're all unique, but we are molded as children, and a child can hear the word no up to 400 times a day. I don't think I ever heard no 400 times a day, but I see where they go. I can see the bit I read. I can see where it's getting to. That no, you can't have that. No, you're not having any sweets, or you know, whatever it may be. So by the time we come to, you know, about 11, I'm only taking this from personal experience. You know, the naggers or the people that say no, you know, you're surrounded by them, so you can understand when kids are unsure of themselves.
Yeah.
They haven't heard any yes, or hear very few yeses. You know, as I said, even when I was doing the careers, I think it was I was about 12 or 13. I don't know. I can't even remember now. And they were saying to me, no, they're not. They didn't say to me, no, you can't join the police, but they were trying to dissuade me. You know, and it was everyone. It wasn't just one person. It was everyone I ever spoke to tried to dissuade me from joining the army or joining the police.
Maybe they just saw you as a troublemaker. Maybe they saw you as a.
I wasn't a troublemaker. No, I wasn't. No.
They did a study in the 90s, I think it was, when people would stand in shopping centers, supermarkets, and then they would observe people with kids. They would listen to them, and they would mark down every time they said no, every time they said yes. So they'd either be in a supermarket or like a shopping mall, and they would just observe, and they would mark down. Tick, 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 tick. Now, I know it's a lot easier to say no, that kind of environment, because kids want everything, right? They see this,
so
it's much easier to say no, but they're right. I mean, and this is a great tool and a great tip for anybody that's watching this now, will be watching the recordings, or listening for that matter, is when you wake up in the morning, think of what goal you want to achieve, not just maybe for the day or maybe in life. Maybe you have a big goal that you want to achieve in life. Like for example, the business that Paul and I are involved together now. Not now, but we've been together. We've been involved for a couple of years. I have a goal for this month that I want to achieve in my business. All right, which we all should have. Even if you have a job, you should have a goal you want to achieve, personal goal. So when I wake up in the morning, one of the first thoughts I consciously am aware of is thinking of that goal. Then gauge and identify how long does it take before you lose sight of that goal as the day goes through, as you go through the day, because of all the distractions and the negative impulses that are coming from all angles. All right. And you'll notice that if you're listening or hearing, or you're engaged in more positive feedback and whatnot, you'll probably be able to keep that thought or that goal in mind for much longer through the day. And just as a tip, as a exercise for yourself, try that in the morning. Think of your goal that you have for the day or the year or your big life goal, and see how long it takes you before you start to lose focus of that goal through the day. Most people don't make it to lunchtime, unfortunately. And that's also going to give you an indicator as to how strong is your desire as well. And the more you train yourself with that desire becomes stronger. And then from there on, the belief becomes stronger, and then the results will be achieved as a result of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. The other thing you do is have triggers.
Mm-hmm.
He's my trigger.
Right?
So he's, if I set my mind on something, no.
He actually looks a bit like Trigger from Only Fools and Horses.
No, I was singing Trigger from
He's got a long face.
That's it.
Yeah? From Only Fools and Horses, Trigger.
No, there's Trigger Horse. It might be Roy Rogers or something like that. But
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, look, you sometimes you need a trigger just to remind you to stay on target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so choose your trigger wisely. As you should choose who you hang about with wisely as well.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
And ditch the fools. That's a bit. I'm trying to be kind now. Ditch the fools. Tune out the crap in your life. That's another thing as well. And
easier said than done, but yeah,
it is easier said than done.
But
you must control your environment. You must control who you're around. Journal if you have to. Do gratitude if you have to do meditation if that helps. But at the end of the day, stop people being around you that are a negative drain.
Because if you don't control your environment will control you. Pure and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Confront your biggest fears and your limiting beliefs. Get help if you need it. Don't sit there and dwell. Break out from what you're doing, right, and improve your belief level. Right, that's my thing for the day. And any last thoughts there, Warren?
No, I think that was powerful enough, Paul. Thank you. That was good enough.
This is the moment now, right?
Mm-hmm.
This could be your special moment. Not you, Warren. Well, it could be, but
of course it is.
Everyone listening, right?
This is my birthday month. This is definitely a special moment.
You get a month. I normally have 3 days, but so ask yourself the question: who wants to fight for the future, whatever that future may be, right? Yeah. Who wants to step forward and do something good with their life? Whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. And who wants to change this situation? You're only going to do that if you build your belief level and have desire, strong feelings, and moving upwards with your confidence. And as I say, it's all about a belief state, and you've got to do it now.
And hey,
there isn't tomorrow.
You don't have to change the world. That's
no.
We're not talking about changing the world. I know somebody in the UK that has he has a belief, he has a desire, he has a strong will, and he's just recently signed over his house, handed the keys back to the house that he was renting, and he's taken his van and his dog. He's kitted out his van, and now he's traveling around the UK, and he plans to come to Europe at some point. Yeah, and he has an online business, and that's what he's doing. So you don't have to change the world, but you got to have a belief.
You just have to know where all the Wi-Fi points are.
Yeah. And it starts with a desire. It starts with a desire, and then if you don't have a desire and you're not sure what desire you would like to have, then come and talk to Paul and I. We can have a cup of coffee with you online about that and help you to discover what that desire might look like for you. Maybe we can't tell you, but we can help you to uncover it, and then from there we can work on the belief.
Absolutely. So it's down to you.
course.
We can help. We can guide you in the right direction. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with me, Warren, and you. All right. So with that, we're going. We've been on 40 minutes, too long, really. And
40 minutes too long.
I think you've had some benefit from this, and have a fantastic week, really.
Yeah. See you on Wednesday.
We'll speak soon,
everybody.
Oh yeah, we're on Wednesday. Healthier Life
Life.
TV. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't sorted the subject out yet, so we can't tell you what it is. Probably something to do with the immune system. I really don't know. So who knows? Or it could be about gout. Who knows? I mean, just right. Okay. Speak to you soon.
Well, that's to do with the immune system. So yeah.
Yeah, I know.
As well. Ciao, everyone.
See you later. Bye.